Welcome back to WRPL. It's a podcast where we talk about all the things we were watching, reading, playing, and listening to. My name's Ben.
And I'm Steve.
How's it going, Steve?
It's going well, Ben. How are you?
Fine. Sad Halloween's over, but I remember, I could watch horror movies any time of the year, but it's nice when everybody is kind of doing it at the same time, and I don't think I watch nearly as much as I should
Do you
have.
feel like you fulfilled your spooky limit or whatever?
No, because at the beginning I said I was going to try to watch as many vampire movies I had never seen, and I didn't watch any others past what is the Byzantium?
Oh, right.
Yeah, didn't watch any Only Lovers Left Alive or any some random piece of shit movie that I could find on Tubi, but oh well. Saw enough, I guess. So let's start with a couple of just random dumb things. Well, I know we talked yesterday, so the movie we should be reviewing tonight is Dune 2.
Mm-hmm.
Because of the writer strike, the actor strike, it got pushed back along with a number of other things, including Craven the Hunter, my biggest disappointment, my most anticipated of the year. Not true, but I still really want to see it. And I was wondering, we had the pandemic and it pushed back a ton of things.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had this strike and it pushed back things anymore. Like, we may have already been on and seen the Batman 2 if none of that ever happened. The Batman got pushed back a whole year and it's going into production now, but it you add up all these times it got pushed and when things could have started back up again, we could have been we would have been done with the Dune franchise already, or maybe even on the third one. Who knows? Maybe Batgirl would have never been canceled. It's just an alternate timeline I would like to check out.
In the next life.
Yeah. And small little thing. Have you ever had a chili cheese burrito from Taco Bell?
If I have, I don't recall it, so I'm going to say no.
Because living in Southern California, it was just a standard. And even when I lived in Nebraska, it was a standard. It was just always there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now it's coming back in the markets that don't normally get it. And I'm very excited. It's one of the best things that they've ever done. Chili cheese burrito, add sour cream to it. Amazing. So you have that to look forward to.
All right. Good to know.
So let's start with a roll.
12.
12, okay.
Not bad.
I can handle 12.
Yeah. Higher than you usually do. Ooh, that's a 9.
A 9? Okay. We're just always right in the middle.
That's 21.
Yeah, it's fine. So let's start with some new trailers that came out.
Okay.
Apparently you have more than me. I only have the one, but Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, that's the one I want to talk about.
Okay.
I wasn't sure if you would go, have you seen the Echo trailer? Cool,
yeah.
right? I was like, I don't care.
I did see the Echo trailer.
Yeah,
and
I'm sure you did.
I'm excited for it. I love Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin, so if it's more of that, cool.
I think...
You really, truly don't give a shit.
Well, I don't care. It's not because... I think it's a very good trailer. But I've been burned before with Marvel that makes very good trailers and then not very good shows.
They make really good first episodes, but not always the best finales.
So I'll wait till I hear things, and if it's it's the best thing Marvel's ever done, period, maybe I'll check it out.
Well, and Loki's almost done, and that's been pretty good, but I'm still waiting for what's the bigger ramification? Did they go back and say, "Oh, we gotta get away from this Kang thing. How do we change it so we don't have to do Kang Dynasty?" Or did they go, we already spent way too much money on this, it's going to have to release regardless, and hopefully everybody forgets about Jonathan Majors' issues and we all just move forward. But yeah, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the Apes trailer.
Let's talk about the Apes trailer.
No Matt Reeves. That's a shame.
Bummer. Yeah.
It is someone different who, I don't know. But it looks great.
Yeah, it looks like it fits in the same universe. The first Apes movie, I think, doesn't really look like the next two.
Because that was also a different director. Matt Reeves didn't come out until the next two.
I mean, it is but you can tell those differences.
Mm-hmm.
Where this looks like it fits more with Matt Reeves, and it's a whole new thing.
Yeah.
So we'll wait to see if that shoe fits the other foot just as well, or if it is going to be weird. But from just a purely teaser trailer, looks pretty awesome.
Yeah.
This this franchise is something I've really loved since it started. So I'm looking forward to seeing. I would have been fine if they never did one
Yeah,
after
I
War. I think
never thought they would
it
have.
ended. That trilogy with Caesar's journey, and that
Yeah.
completed the journey, and
Mm-hmm.
we know what comes next. But there is like space to fill, and I'm okay that they're
Yeah.
continuing so long as they have a good story to tell.
Yeah. Do you think by the time we get to the end of this, I'm assuming new trilogy, we will be caught up to official Planet of the Apes?
I think you have to be.
So do you? I mean, you don't think that they will just do Planet of the Apes? Just call it Planet of the Apes. We're redoing that first one, and it's the finale. That we have another one that pushes us forward a little more in time, and then you just kind of redo that first one again. But maybe that it's not as fun because you already know what happened to everything, so there is
Yeah,
no big reveal.
I think what you do is either the third movie is a separate story that's going on simultaneously with the original, and you don't
Okay,
realize it's going on simultaneously
sure.
until you get to the end. Like on the beach in the distance, on top of a cliff, you see, the chimp or whatever that's the main character in that story
Hmm.
looks in the horizon and like, what's that down there? And you just see a human in front of a Statue of Liberty,
Yeah.
and you're like, oh, we caught up to the thing, and then like cut to credits or whatever.
That could be
Who
funny of them like, is he crying? I can't hear him from up here. And they're just making funny commentary of this guy's life completely, his mind being blown.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't. Okay, I think you either end it right where that is, or I guess you could remake it, but I don't think you
Mm.
would.
Yeah, I could see them maybe ending with them looking up and you see a shooting star. It's actually the ship landing on the
Yes, yeah,
planet,
yeah,
and then they go like, "Oh, what's this?" And I bet they will probably even do a prophecy sort of thing.
yeah.
Religions, ape religion, whatever that could be. They'll say something will fall from the sky and either bring damnation or our salvation.
Or it's a separate timeline thing.
Yeah, or yeah, or you don't even
Not
have to
even
do
talk,
it.
but yeah, just
But they did tease it up in the very first one. Just Caesar watching the news saying like, "Oh, astronauts went to space," and then that was it.
right.
So it'd be kind of nice to have that pay off, but completely unnecessary. How far ahead do you think this is? Because Caesar's dead, so we don't have to like be tied into anybody. But like, what about Nova, the little girl that the Steve Zahn monkey was
Yeah,
friends with? Is she an adult now, or is she dead because it's that much further?
I
Because
think.
Nova is in the Planet of the Apes original
Yeah,
trilogy.
I think that is two things. One, it's just like, hey, nod, this is where it's going, and that serves that fan service part of it. And then two, it's just like it could be a tease, or it could just be here's a character. Who cares? We're gonna write. I think they're gonna just write that off, and like
Yeah.
we're not gonna mention that.
I
And
bet we'll only mention Caesar like one time.
yeah,
Oh, our great ancestor who started it
I'm
all.
guessing this is at least 200 years in the
Okay,
future.
okay.
That's my guess. It's got to be far enough to where humans have become sort of well, they do start kind of becoming feral
Yeah, in the
things
third
in the
one,
third
because
one.
the if
Yeah,
you survived the virus, it slowly degraded your
yeah,
brain
yeah,
and turned
yeah.
you into
Okay, I
a
forgot about
Neanderthal.
that for a second.
But they got
I'm
to
still gonna
get
guess 200
they got to get
years.
smarter again because
Yeah,
when Charlton Heston landed, they did speak English. Or maybe it'll tie into the Mark Wahlberg one. I would love a return of Mark Wahlberg's classic character guy. The only thing I really remember is like the Holy Land was like called like Kalima, which is funny because that's an Indiana
yeah.
Jones thing. But it was just a dirty sign and it was like caution live animals, something like that.
That's funny. It's
Uh,
been a long time since I've seen that one.
Yeah, I was so hyped for that movie. I was there opening day and getting all my friends. It was going to be amazing because I really liked the Planet of the Apes movies. Not all of them, but most of them. And I always loved Tim Burton. And I don't know, it looked badass. And it's not real. It's actually a pretty okay
I was gonna
movie
say I don't
until the
remember it
end.
being that bad.
It's
I remember Tim Ross, the
yeah,
character was
yeah,
awesome,
he was great.
and
Paul Giamatti is great as
Michael
like a
Clark
big.
Duncan as like
Mm-hmm.
the general, like big badass
Yep.
was like really cool. And
Helena
then
Bottom Carter, got to be in it. It's Tim
yeah,
Burton.
and then I was 14 when that movie came out. I believe I think it was 2004, and I just thought the movie was really cool and awesome. I think watching it now, I'd be like, oh yeah, this movie is like kind of not that great,
Yeah.
but the final battle, just using a ancient rocket ship to just annihilate a part of
Yeah,
their
that's
chimp army was really cool. And
uh-huh.
I don't know, it was. I remember that movie being kind of fun.
And it's at a time where you didn't rely on CG for every goddamn thing. You had to do practical apes, and you can tell, and it all looks really, really good.
Yeah.
So, I really wonder if Tim Burton had an idea where to go with a sequel for that. Would it just be Mark Wahlberg in the modern time, or would we go back and they see Mark Wahlberg leave, and then you just have more adventures on that planet and
Mm,
how things evolved? Or if he was just like, nah, this is a one and done. I'm not doing nukes and underground people and time travel, none of that.
yeah. It's just weird that Tim Roth's character became a Abraham Lincoln like figure and
Yeah.
built the monument exactly the same and just put a
Uh-huh.
chimp head on it.
And
I mean, that ending is kind of stupid, but at the same time, it pays homage to the original and
sure,
twists, and
yeah.
it's
You did
all
not see it
cyclical.
coming.
Yeah,
I love that ending because I think everybody who saw it had the same joke instantly of just calling it Abraham Lincoln.
sure.
And it's like not the most creative thing, but it unites us all because like we're all on the same page of like, wow, this is really kind of stupid,
Yeah.
and you have a funny name for it. Okay, I didn't even say what we were talking about, but I said it last week. We're talking about Five Nights at Freddy's. Also, movies kind of that are ripoffs of the same thing. Some maybe like homages, some are straight ripoffs. We'll get to that. We don't really have much before it. I guess two things. One thing we both saw: Invincible's back.
Hmm.
Um, Excellent first episode. Really excited to see where it goes. Just don't like we're only gonna get like 4 episodes before it takes a break again.
Oh,
Yeah. And then we get the second half of the season. They said early next year, so hopefully it's just a 2 month hold because you don't usually put new episodes of stuff in December
mm.
because everyone's busy traveling, Christmas and stuff like that. So it'll probably come back January. But yeah, what do you think of the first episode?
I liked it. The only thing is, I don't necessarily know if I always enjoy kind of seeing alternate universe stuff. At the same
Mm-hmm.
time, the alternate timeline thing is so played out. I was
Yeah.
kind of, especially because when the episode opens and Invincible is a bad guy. You're like, well, I know this is a
Yeah.
dream sequence or it's
Or
another
we're just
reality.
looking
It's
6 weeks
like this
ahead.
this
You
stuff
know.
I'm seeing right now probably isn't
It,
relevant.
yep.
So I was kind of already checked out in that
But
regard.
it's the imposing threat of what could be.
Yeah. Um, but I did like seeing the underground X-Men resistance
Mm-hmm.
and kind of beat up Adam Eve and all that kind of
Mm-hmm.
stuff. Like that stuff was kind of neat, but
Yeah.
at the same time, I was just like, I'm just ready for this video. But can I get to the main
To the meat
storyline,
of it,
please?
yeah.
Yeah.
Because thinking back to the first season, I think in the rewatch you would watch the episode where they went to Mars and there's
Hmm.
little alien things and you got to get it off, and you'd be all right. I know this doesn't really factor into the big picture, so let's get fucking going. I want to get to that awesome fight at the end.
Yeah.
So hopefully there's not too much of that, but it is still great stuff that fleshes out the world. But why can't Adam Eve beat all these people? If she could change molecules, just turn his brain into soup, you know? Just make all of his organs. Oh wait,
No, she
it's
said she
because
can't
it's a
do.
living
Yeah,
thing.
she can't do physical matter or
Okay.
not physical matter, but
Okay, well, really
organic matter. Yeah.
you can't get someone to throw a penny down Omni-Man's throat and then she expands it, or irradiates it, something. I just feel like she has such amazing powers. She should be able to handle both of them no problem. Yeah, she probably can't take too many hits. Her shields will break. But when you could just change anything, if Mark has a fucking filling in his mouth, he's done. You know?
Can't say. I didn't write it.
I thought you were the invincible expert. What else happened in the episode? It was weird in the when they do the season one catch up.
Mhm.
They kept focusing on the speedster's wife, going like, "I'm out of here. I'm going to Russia," and she does show up at the end of this episode. It was just a weird thing for them to go back to because I did not even remember that character at
No.
all.
The big thing of this episode was uh, the Langstrom something, I forget his name, building that machine. because he was born with the ability to travel through dimensions,
Mm-hmm.
and so he assembles all of his other selves from all the very much kind of Kangish,
Yeah,
but
or the Council of Reeds, or the
yeah, but
Council of
he was
Ricks.
the only one born with the power. The
Yeah,
other people is just like, well, I'm gonna attach them to the machine, this machine, take all of their memories, so I can have basically all this knowledge of all the universes, and then use that knowledge to benefit kind of everyone.
yeah,
And then Invincible shows up, and they're like, hey, he's teamed up with some bad guys. This must be a bad guy. And hilarity ensues, and everyone
yeah,
dies except for Invincible
yeah.
in a lab explosion.
Well, he does like absorb everyone's brains, but it seems like he absorbed them physically as well because his head is just so big and mutated. It's like he just has a Santa sack full of brains now for a head.
Who the Langstrom guy?
Yeah, he survived at the end, right?
Oh, maybe I missed that part.
Yeah, I'm
I
pretty sure.
thought they just all died. I was like, well, what was the point of all this?
No, no, I think he does. Yeah, but he has like this huge head that
Oh,
hangs
okay.
down his back that's all brainy.
Gross.
Yeah. And then, speaking of Invincible, we got more like Omni Man footage for Mortal Kombat 1.
Hmm.
And, God, he looks like a lot of fun. Especially if you're good at Mortal Kombat, I bet he's going to be amazing because he just has like quick dodges where he just has to
Hmm.
sidestep any sort of move. And then, of course, the train fatality. It's just fantastic.
Fantastic.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, well, that, the head crush, and then the
Mm-hmm.
pummeling of the
Yep.
face, it's.
And there's even like in their they do little face ups right at the beginning of the match. Whenever they talk shit,
Mhm.
and he does the listen, and then goes on a spiel. Good stuff.
Good stuff.
Anything else happened in that?
No, I didn't really expect to talk much about
Okay.
Invincible.
Yeah,
I
and
figured we'd
probably
just
we'll
generally
wait,
wait till the end, yeah.
or at least wait till the first half is done.
Sure,
Give a
yeah,
little
yeah.
recap, and then talk about it later. Yeah. So I only got one thing I really watch. You want to do your thing?
Sure. Finished two shows. One
Oh,
was Attack on Titan,
oh.
season four, part two.
Isn't it part 3B,
Oh no, yeah,
part 2?
it was part three, part two, or because it was part of it. Season four was like half a season, and then a movie,
Mm-hmm.
and then another movie in order to finish it off. This series began in 2013 and ends in 2023. And it's only four seasons
Four
long.
seasons.
And
And how many episodes in this final one would you say? Like, if
I
you
don't
count the
remember.
movies as one.
Uh, I could look it up. I don't
Nah, no
remember.
worries. I don't
Yeah. I mean, the last two movies were just six episodes
care. Okay.
put together. So I think it was just a ploy to sell more DVDs or whatever.
It
They said it was
feels.
to take time to do the show right. Because, I mean, the last uh, three episodes essentially. Well, it's a big. The whole thing is just a giant animated fight, and it is pretty impressive in terms
Yeah.
of like animation and scale and everything.
And you drip feed your fans, like, oh,
Yeah,
here's a
yeah.
little taste.
You gotta
First
keep it
one's
going.
free.
God, so good.
What'd you get? Mango?
Mango passion fruit
Mm,
with yogurt in there.
mm. Not a big mango guy.
Oh,
They taste dirty.
you're dirty.
I showered today.
I didn't. Anyway, uh, so yes, Attack on Titan. It is, I think, not only one of the greatest animes of all time, but just a piece of media that I think goes beyond anime. It's just like just genuinely fantastic. Um, it definitely takes a turn later in the season. In the season three or four, kind of jumps to a different group of people, and you're like, "What
Hmm.
the fuck is this storyline all about?" We're in a totally different place,
And the
and it
villain
all
isn't who the villain that
and
you thought it
then
would be.
it all yeah, and then it all kind of converges, and you're just like, "How is this gonna work?"
Hmm.
And then there's big twists, and you're just like, and it's all been planned from the beginning, and it's all it from a story perspective, it's really really fucking impressive.
Yeah.
And the animation is beautiful, and the action's super fun. But we're just talking about this last three episode movie or whatever, and it's 44 minutes of action, which is cool, but it's definitely when people talk about the show, like, oh, it gets kind of convoluted at the end. I didn't really feel that way, But now that I haven't watched anything of it in over a year,
Mm-hmm.
just jumping into this finale, not that I forgot everything, but it's kind of like, wait, what the fuck is going on? Maybe I did forget stuff because you're never gonna watch the show, right?
Probably not. I watched season one, but it wasn't enough for me to want to watch season two.
Okay, so I'm just gonna spoil it for you.
Cool.
So I think you, because I talked about, I think you know that these Titans are unleashed. There was Titans living in the walls. There's like thousands and thousands of them, and they walk across Earth and kill 80% of the human population, just from trampling everybody and
Mm-hmm.
destroying everything. And they're so hot that you can't get close to them, or you
Yeah.
get set on fire. So it's just devastation. It's a
And they were living in the walls that were surrounding this city that
yeah,
we've been
and
in
no one knew
forever.
about it.
Even though we've seen the colossal Titan kick through the wall, we didn't see like an elbow poking out from a Titan or anything.
Well, you like kick through. It's not like they were all packed in so tight. I mean,
Okay.
I guess they kind of were. Doesn't
If
matter.
there's thousands of them, this city isn't that big.
But it's not like it was knocking down huge chunks of wall. It was just it
All
basically
right.
whatever.
Whatever.
Watch the show. But so it gets to this like final battle where it's a small group who was like, your main character's like, we gotta kill, the big bad guy or whatever.
What's his name?
Aaron,
Aaron Yeager,
Aaron
right?
Yeager, yeah.
And what's the little German blonde boy? What's his name?
Armin,
And then Mikasa,
yeah,
right?
correct.
Mikasa.
Uh, so that's the main crew, and then their like group of friends or whatever. And but it's the most anime thing of anime. So this is, I think, the finale that's like, I don't love this kind of shit, but at the same time, like I've been so invested for so long, it does pay off satisfyingly. Um, but it's this thing where it feels like every 2 minutes they're about to get killed by something, and then someone saves them at the
All
last
right.
second.
Yeah.
Or here's another Deus Ex Machina thing
Mm-hmm.
where uh, oh, thank God this thing showed up, or this guy turned a new leaf, or the souls of fallen warriors somehow can come back and help us out. And then there's like titans that I think are made of bone but are bleeding, and
Okay.
it seems like
I did
they're
see a big rib cage thing.
yeah. So they're all these titans are coming from the ribcage thing. It's like its defense system.
Okay.
So they're all doing battle on its giant spine, and it's pretty cool. But I can't tell, are these things made of bone or are they made of
Mm-hmm.
flesh? Is it some weird combo? Because every time they slice their neck, red blood is shooting out. It's like, why would there be blood
In a bone monster.
in a bone monster
Yeah.
if it is even
Well,
a bone monster?
there's blood in my bone monster.
Ugh. Fuck you. Uh, and then like all the logic is there as to why the these like fallen warriors who have been dead for multiple seasons are able to sort of like come back at the end and help in the final sequence. But it's like,
Hmm.
Jesus Christ, what the fuck are we doing here?
Yeah.
And then, but the thing I liked best is so the final bit, they defeat the thing, the world is saved. Uh,
But how do you defeat something that's like blistering hot and
well, the bone
bigger?
monster isn't. It's the only
Oh,
thing
okay.
that isn't hot. You can like touch it.
Idiot. Should have got blistering hot.
Because it doesn't have flesh. The giant walking
Yeah, but
things,
its bones could be like radiating heat, like they're steel beams or something.
whatever. Uh,
So they kill Aaron Yeager.
so they kill Aaron Yeager.
Is it just the same back of the neck cut thing?
Well, he's so massive, his whole body is kind of inside the Titan's mouth. So they're able to like break his teeth and then shoot one of them into his mouth and then just cut off his head
Ah.
because his body's kind of like all soaked into the whatever.
Yeah.
Um, but after they cut off his head, you find like all their memories come back, and it turns out that he didn't want to do this. It was all predestined and everything, and so he actually like had these like great conversations with everybody, and like kind of was able to say goodbye to them, and they've all had like it was like really nice stuff. So he wasn't really all that bad of a guy, even though he did wipe out 80% of their
Which was already
population.
cut down from
Yeah, and so
everything.
like now the world can't really retaliate against the remaining of their people because it's a like, well, we make up the 10% of the population, you make up 10% of the population, like we would just cancel each other out.
Mhm.
And now that Aaron's dead, nobody has Titan powers anymore.
Okay.
So everyone is just human. We're all just the survivors, and we all need
Okay.
to work together if we want to rebuild society.
I'd be like, get me out of this walled city. If there's no more Titans, I'm seeing the world.
Yeah.
Fuck this place.
So now, like, the world is essentially at peace.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, oh, what a nice thing. But then at the very last bit of the show,
Oh god.
as it's rolling credits, uh, they show like where they bury him under this tree, and and it's like time just you see time skipping, and you see skyscrapers getting built and everything,
Okay.
and then like a plane goes into a skyscraper and blows up, and then you see like missiles getting launched and like the city's getting devastated, and then it just cuts to X amount of time in the future, and you see this little boy walk into this Titan-sized tree, which is kind of a callback to like how the original founder was discovered. A child walked into like a tree or a cave or whatever and
Mm-hmm.
discovered this thing that turned her into the original Titan.
Oh.
So like the whole story is about the human
Time's a
nature.
flat circle.
Time's a flat circle, and
Okay.
human nature will constantly repeat itself. Like, yes, you stopped, your people from being eradicated and ended Titans, or you believed you
Mm-hmm.
did, and then humans will still be humans and will still wage war on each
Yeah.
other and will still find reasons to kill each other. So even like the whole series of Attack on Titan was so bleak, but there was always glimmers of hope, and
Mm-hmm.
that's what you held on to. And like the final season is so fucking dark because there's like people killing themselves because the Titans are walking towards them and babies are getting murdered and everything.
Dang.
It's just like this show is dark, and then it just ends kind of dark too, and you're like, well,
Okay.
fuck, that's kind of a bummer.
I kind of like that
Yeah.
ending. Like, no matter what happens, it's gonna happen again.
Yep, and again and again.
But maybe you don't bury him. Maybe you drop him in some acid or burn his body. Don't allow his crazy nutrients to go back into the soil.
Well, they believe, because this is also the stupid anime thing. There's a giant, like, clear centipede-like creature,
Okay.
which is the thing that is sort of the power of the Titans, I guess.
Okay.
And so they killed that. So they assume once that's dead, and they cut off Aaron's head, and no one's Titans anymore. Well, it's over now.
Yeah.
Like they can bury his skull.
Yeah.
And it's only alluded to. It doesn't necessarily mean that the kid is going to have Titan
Mhm.
powers, but it's pretty much like the kid's going to have Titan powers.
Now, when you said like a plane flew into a building and stuff, I thought it was going to be that this was our past,
No.
and then like we're rocketing towards doing that again. Yes, but the past is Titans, but it is technically the future, right? It is our Earth, but
No, I think
everything-
it's a separate.
just a fake
It's a
world.
separate world. Yeah.
Okay, all right. I just thought
It has a lot of our technology and all that kind of.
Yeah,
It's like
I just thought
our
they
world
said
adjacent.
like what's his face, little Blondie was like he was German. Okay, so there's a Germany, there's a Europe. This is Earth. Like I for some reason I remember him being German, but maybe not.
It's been a while, so I'll have to check on that. But I'm pretty sure it's just a separate
Okay.
world.
Yeah.
It's not in the past or the future. It's just
Okay.
this is what it is because it's made up countries.
Okay.
Um,
Well, but also if it is in the future after all this, we would just kind of make up our own new lands and stuff, especially if it's hundreds and hundreds of years. Borders don't mean anything anymore.
I don't know. Maybe it wasn't like Mikasa and Levi are from the same family, and they're the only sort of Asian-looking people. So
Yeah.
I think they might have said, "Oh, they came from an Asian land,"
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know if they ever say specifically like, "Oh, they're from Japan."
Okay.
Or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, I just thought it was like, well, this is kind of different because every anime I see, I always just assume everyone's Japanese unless they specifically say. And it was kind of nice because it was people from all around the world, and that they aren't all Japanese. Some people are just white people. But I could have gotten the information wrong because I was, I don't know, 8 years when I saw
Yeah,
the season.
it's a show that I think I will rewatch one day.
Mm-hmm.
But it ends in a satisfying way. The animation is beautiful all the way through. I think it's one of the greatest animes and one of the greatest shows of all time. Really cool, really clever how they did stuff, and a ton of fun. And it didn't get held down by a lot of classic anime tropes that I hate.
Mm-hmm.
Other than it does have the flashbacks, and sometimes there's monologues that go on way too long, and just like, oh, well, it's a good thing you're letting me talk because there's all these monsters that want to kill us, but they're just standing there waiting for
Yeah.
us to move.
Uh-huh.
It's like, why don't they just jump you all right now? And
No,
be
they're
over?
interested in the story as well.
Yeah. So there's some of that bullshit, but it's not annoying.
So is when it comes back in 10 years, is it going to be like Titans in space?
I don't think it'll ever come. I think it. This is it. This was the end.
Well, never say never, because nostalgia is the greatest thing. And the kids who are 10 years old
Sure.
now, in 15 years or 25, and maybe they're working in the industry and they bring it back. So
Fair enough.
you never know. All right. The only thing I saw before our main topic
I have one
is.
more thing, but
Oh, yeah, that's right. You finished two shows.
I finished
That's
two shows.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so go ahead and.
The other show was Shoresy, the spinoff of Letterkenny, about a small hockey team. Sorry, semi-professional hockey team. I don't know how hockey teams work in Canada, but
I think it's royalty. I think if you're a hockey player, you're pretty much royalty in Canada.
well, I just mean like the different leagues
Oh,
and
it
what.
doesn't matter. You're all royalty.
Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah.
Uh, and I think this show is essentially the entourage of modern day.
Okay.
Uh,
Yuck.
well, I liked Entourage. I think I was the right audience at the time.
Okay.
Now, Entourage is a show I don't think you can make today.
Probably not.
It was slightly problematic, but I still hold that Entourage is an enjoyable show.
Did you like the movie?
It was an extended episode, so
Okay.
it was fine. It didn't blow me away, but I don't think it was supposed to. It was just a proper send off for
Okay.
Vince and the boys or whatever. But uh, the difference being that I think all the people who hate Entourage would like Shoresy.
Okay.
Uh,
Well, how is it like Entourage though?
how's it like Entourage? Because I think it's a show made for dudes. I think Letterkenny is a little bit more can reach a broader audience. Where Shoresy is essentially a group of dudes who all play a sport, who love cursing and fighting, and every episode is just filled with like the most attractive women you've ever seen, and they're
Okay.
always talking about like hooking up with them and stuff
Okay.
like that. But it's never like gross.
Yeah.
But I mean, it is every episode you do have women in like lingerie walking around and stuff, and they're like, oh god, being a hockey player is awesome. It just seems like if you play hockey, you're gonna get like all the hottest
Like I
chicks
said, it's
ever.
like royalty.
Yeah. So in that regard, it's uh it's just a dude show. Not that women can't enjoy it, obviously, but
No,
it's
not
like
allowed. No.
uh because it is also just very funny how they all just insult each other and some of the clever quips and all that stuff. It also has like a fantastic soundtrack, which Letterkenny also did. So every episode is filled with like great music and fun act. Where it kind of lacks is some of the characters, and I think some of the actors aren't particularly good actors.
Mhm.
Uh, but what makes the show also feel kind of more real is that no one on the show is famous or I've seen them in anything else really, other than obviously the main guy because he's the
Mhm.
star of Letterkenny and
Yeah.
creator of that show too. And this season ends in a way where I don't know. It sets it up for a season three, but Letterkenny season 12, which is coming out in December, is the final season of that. And then this
Mm.
season ends in a way that says like, if this is the end of this season, this show as well, it's a satisfying ending, but definitely leaves it open for more.
Okay.
But yeah, I think if you like Letterkenny and for some reason you haven't watched Shoresy, watch Shoresy. It's only 6 episodes per season,
Wow. Tough
and
watch.
yeah, and like I said, it's funny. It's filled with beautiful women, and it's something different. It's not Big Bang Theory. It's not.
Well, please no.
It's not Community. It's not. It's Always
Those are
Sunny, but
those are two odd ones to bring up.
I'm just saying it doesn't. I can't compare it to any other really comedies. It's just so different. I have nothing to compare it to other than Letterkenny, which is from the same guy. So check it out.
Okay. No. Uh, no, it's one of those things of I'll watch clips from Letterkenny and like this is funny, but I don't know if I could watch a whole episode of this. 3 minutes of this shtick is enough for me. I think, and especially since every clip I see feels exactly the same. So it's like, is every episode just the same thing over and over again of people just standing there insulting each other? Is there actual plots in these episodes?
That's sunny. Yeah. Just people standing around insulting each other.
But they have bigger ideas. They have something to say. They have.
But since you
plots.
haven't watched the episodes, you can't comment. on that.
I know, but from what if I just saw clips
I will
of
say
Sunny,
though, there are recurring jokes on Letterkenny that after 11 seasons, you're kind of like, all right, I've heard this joke
Yeah,
100 times at this
that
point.
that's how I was with Archer.
There's some of them that are still good,
Hmm.
like especially the "fuck you, Shoresy" bit. You've heard it, you know, at least twice a season, every season.
Hmm.
But I don't know, it just works because the insults are so funny.
Okay.
But anyway,
Well, I watched South Park joining the Panderverse on Paramount Plus. This is their fourth movie. I think technically, like, one's a part one and a part two, and it's considered one movie, but there was a pretty big gap in between them. Uh, have you seen the commercials for this?
I've just seen like 8 seconds of them as multicolor women,
Yeah,
and but
they're
I haven't.
everyone's recast is like four women of color,
Yeah.
and that's what I thought it was going to be like. Oh, what if we recast this show and we pandered to this specific audience? What would it be? And it is a multiverse show where Cartman's having dreams about
Hmm.
this, and it's all Kathleen Kennedy's fault. All she cares about is like her catchphrase through the whole thing is just put a chick in it and make her gay, and it's for anything, even like his food and stuff. Or yeah, because there's a Cartman version of Kathleen Kennedy going around making things. So like Cartman gets pulled into the Panderverse. The Cartman version is in our universe.
Is Kathleen Kennedy in charge of anything
Star
other than
Wars
Star
and
Wars?
Disney stuff. Yeah.
I mean, I know she was doing Star Wars, but are there a lot of gay characters in Star Wars?
No, but it's the whole idea of, well, you got to include everyone, and the hot thing is pandering to gay people or trans people or people of color. And if you just put one in, then you're doing it justice.
Hmm.
You're not really telling a gay story, you're just putting in a gay character so you can go, huh? Gay character, just like the first gay kiss in Star Wars happened for 2 seconds, and then a big slug monster gets in the way. It's like, who is that for? It's nothing. And that just slapping a different coat of paint on this character, yeah, maybe looks different, but why? And Kyle the whole time is just like, this is not Cartman. This is just someone else, even though she is acting exactly how Cartman would act, and
Hmm.
it's pretty great. Yeah, anytime they do anything is pretty funny. And then there's a B story of Randy being upset that no one can do anything anymore.
Hmm.
And so he's going to teach Stan and Shelly how to fix this dishwasher door. It's like, all right, step one, take out your phone and call a handyman. And then so no one could do anything. So the handymen are becoming like ultra super rich,
uh,
and their rates are through the roof. And you have all the guys offering like, you know, uh, Randy's offering free geology, if someone comes and fixes his door, and then someone's like, oh, lawyer services, and it's all just like they can't do anything besides what their job is. It's great. It's very funny, and anytime Randy's a big moron is good stuff.
I feel like the show is at this point just 50% Randy.
Yeah, and they did for a while, especially with all the Tegrity
Yeah.
pot farm stuff. They scaled it back some, which is good. It was getting a little old, but I'll watch any of their characters really. I don't.
Yeah. I mean, Randy's my favorite South Park character
He's
by
great.
far.
But yeah, I think that's it. It's fun kind of seeing like the woman version of Mr. Garrison or Butters, and uh, like Kenny is just like an Asian woman, but doesn't even can speak normally, so just has like normal lines of dialogue the whole time.
It's been a while since I watched South Park, but Mr. Garrison was a woman for a while, and then you
Yep,
said changed back,
yep.
correct? So
It's just Mr.
it's
Garrison
just
now.
Mr. Garrison
Yeah,
again. Okay.
and yeah, he's still gay. He's no longer the president,
Hmm.
even though he had some slips. He's with his new partner now, and they went to like South Carolina, and it was he has a relapse when he sees one of those kind of Trump stores,
Hmm.
and shows up, make an appearance, and it just makes him feel good because everybody's rooting for him. But it's like him, you think they're talking about, oh, you're gonna have another slip, you can't go back to those places. You think it's like gay nightclubs, and he's gonna do drugs and have
Hmm.
unprotected sex with strangers. But no, it's like, oh, I'm gonna go rally with all my supporters. It's great. But now, yeah, he's just Mr. Garrison, but he still has those kind of Trumpy things slip in every once in a while.
Gotcha.
But I don't think he's a teacher. I think they have like an Asian woman teacher right now. I can't remember.
And is his new partner like a normal person, or is it like a Mr.
He,
Slave character?
no, it's just a normal dude. Yeah, of course, normal, nice human being to be the opposite side of Mr. Garrison's
Right.
awful piece of shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think he tries to get back with Mr. Slave, but Mr. Slave is with Big Gay Al. Um, yeah, a lot of history with those people for all those years. I can't believe
Well,
this
being the
is.
only three gay people in town, seemingly, I guess. So
uh, I just can't believe that this was a show that was on when I was in high school, like sophomore year of high school, and it's still going. Good for them. Get that money.
mm-hmm.
All right, you want to get to our main topic?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. All right, Five Nights at Freddy's. The huge sensation from I don't know 2008, a video game that kind of helped people like Markiplier and Game Theory or Film Theory. Do you ever watch those YouTube videos?
Absolutely not.
Yeah, but you know what I'm talking
I know
about.
exactly what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
and he makes a cameo in this. Did you notice it? Because I didn't notice him.
I didn't. Well, I knew after I watched it because I always do a thing of reading the IMDb
Sure.
trivia. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh, the waiter early in the movie, he
Mm-hmm.
was a Five Nights at Freddy's guy. I was like, okay, great.
Well, he was the game theory guy,
Yeah.
and he helped popularize this, and because it could have been a much smaller game that kind of fell by the wayside, but with the popularity of Twitch and stuff like that,
Mm.
people love watching people play scary games, and this was kind of I don't want to say one of the first because you got your Resident Evils and your Silent Hills, but it's one that lasted a long time and like a Resident Evil, has very weird, convoluted backstory for a lot of stuff. Some of it is absolutely nonsense, and I like refuse to read anymore. So,
So you're more research than I am, I think. So
not a whole bunch because once I started getting into like, oh well, it's actually this person's son, and it was like, oh okay, this is dumb. I thought why these animatronics are coming to life was going to be a little more interesting or completely vague. You don't know why they come out. They just are. They wake up and you need a security guard to keep them locked in. Sometimes the security guards die, sometimes not. But you got to keep them locked down. And I assumed it was since it's Five Nights at Freddy's, there was 5 days out of the year. They would all come alive, wreak terror, but the security guard has to keep them locked in for those 5 nights, and then we get another year of peace. I thought it was that. Um, I guess they can go whenever. One of them like leaves and goes and picks up a girl.
well,
It's like I don't understand the rules of that. But okay, so
that's
what's the basic premise of Five Nights at Freddy's?
the
The
basic
movie.
the basic premise of the movie, yeah, is Josh Hutcherson plays a struggling older brother who's trying to take care of his younger sister. He worked at the mall, loses his job, and needs a new job in order to try and just stay afloat. He's struggled with keeping a job, and now he's kind of got a criminal record, and so this job officer or whatever you call him,
Yeah,
I don't know,
he has a title, but
someone who's trying to help him get a job is just like, hey,
yeah,
I know this one job. It's the pay is shit, the hours are shit, but you got it if you want it. And so he ends up taking it, and it's to be a security guard at a rundown Chuck E. Cheese esque place called Fozzie Fazbear's, where the owner
Freddy Fazbear's,
Freddy Fazbear. Yeah, what did I say? Fozzie.
Fozzie
Fozzie.
Fazbear.
Yeah, because it's not Five Nights at Fozzie's.
Yeah,
Freddy Fazbear's.
that would be funny if his name was completely different than the title. Like, why is it called that? Like, why not? Shut
Why
up.
not? And it turns out that his new security job is not as easy as it seems because the animatronics come to life and want to murder people. Uh,
And also have like a picnic, and also build a fort. You
yeah,
know, their
we'll get
intentions
into
are a
all that.
little vague.
So, Ben, what did you think of this movie?
This movie sucks.
Yeah, this movie's bad.
This is a real bad movie.
I did not like this movie.
No, it's not scary.
I
It's
think. Well, sorry, you go
it's
ahead.
not fun, and all the characters are stupid, and the plot is absolutely ridiculous.
Hmm.
This could be a real fun, simple thing, but all the dead brother stuff I think was completely unnecessary. All the psychopath who's abducting children and putting them in mascots is like an idea, but they don't do anything with it. So here's the basic thing. He what's his character's name? Mark? Is it Mark?
Sure, let's go with Mark.
Sure. Good old Mark. When he was a kid, his brother goes running off in the woods during a family vacation and gets snatched by some child kidnapper. And he blames himself. He doesn't remember everything, but he heard a thing one time about if you sleep hard enough, you'll remember things because you don't forget. The brain never forgets, but you forget. But if you could go back into your memories, he could pick up some details and maybe solve what happened to his brother.
Yeah, at the beginning of the movies, when he, is like initially turning down the job because it's an overnight job, he's like, I can't work nights.
Mm-hmm.
And at first you kind of think, oh, it has to do with the hours of being around for his sister,
Yeah.
who for the first, I think, 20 or 30 minutes of the movie, I thought was his daughter.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was his sister until they said it a couple times. Like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, that's weird. Because
Yeah.
it's like the age range is
The age
so
range is big
wide.
enough, and
And in the flashbacks, I thought, like, would his mom be pregnant? Or did they lose the son and
then have another
a kid
kid,
later?
but then are still so depressed that they kill themselves
Yeah,
or
I didn't.
abandon them. I
I
don't
wasn't
get
sure
it.
of the timeline
Yeah.
of that, and so it's like, yeah, has he been taking care of his sister since she was a baby, or did they just die in the past
Year,
year
yeah,
or
they're
two?
very unclear, and I would think if parents lost their kid, because there's another gap where like they didn't get pregnant with her immediately. I don't think so. They would have had to grieve, get over it, decide to have another kid, and then decide to abandon these two new kids because they still couldn't get over the loss of their middle child. I don't get that, but he's trying to force himself. He takes pills. He looks at a poster to help uh, like kickstart memories. I got
He's reading a book on dream
on Dream
theory or
Theory.
whatever.
I got a question about the poster. It says Nebraska and it shows a forest.
Uh huh.
Okay, Nebraska doesn't really have any forests. It's like farmland. It's the
I
wrong
mean, it has
state.
to have some woods.
So yeah, is he looking at that poster because of the woods, or did it take place in Nebraska
Yeah. See, I thought it took place in Nebraska,
in one of
but
the many woods of
but I
Nebraska?
think it was just it's a poster that has it like looking at this image puts me in that
Yeah, it's like
headspace.
oh yeah,
Do they explain that? No,
no,
but I'm guessing that's the theory
yeah,
behind it.
it's like, are they from Nebraska and they happen to go to Oregon or something? And since they were on vacation, I'm assuming they're not just taking a picnic down the road, but it could be. I don't know. It's pretty unclear.
Hmm.
But he has to take this job to look after his little sister because his aunt wants to take her away from him because she'll get a check in the mail from the government. It can't be that much to want to take on a child. I mean, I guess people do it with foster homes, but you would think the money that they give you would be enough to take care of that kid. It's this isn't a profitable, lucrative thing,
Yeah,
is
and you're
it?
also paying thousands of dollars to get hooligans of
Yeah.
the local area to trash this guy's job or
Mm-hmm.
to spy on him. And that woman never carried herself as broke, or she just seemed like she'd be the rich aunt who's like, oh, I can
Yeah.
afford to take care of
But
her.
she was kind of like middle class rich, upper middle
Well, yeah, I
class.
don't mean
She looked down on regular middle class, but she wasn't the 1%er, you know?
yeah, I just mean like taking on another child and you being broke. Like I could see that kind of making sense because
Mm-hmm.
I'll take this little crappy kid or whatever because I don't actually have to care for them, and I'll get the $400 a month or whatever it
Yeah.
is. That makes sense. But if like you have a job and you have some money and you don't even want the kid, is that extra couple $100 a? I mean, I don't really know. Maybe there's a trick to the system, but whatever.
Yeah. I mean,
It's a very thin line
yeah.
without actually knowing this character other than like, oh, she's kind of mean.
If it was like uh an inheritance thing. Maybe
Mm.
it's his half sister because like the dad couldn't cope after the mom died and got another woman pregnant, and it's that other woman's sister is the aunt, and like, well, I gotta keep her and get rid of my step nephew because the inheritance from my sister should go to me, but it's going to the kid.
Sure. None of
Something,
that.
but it's just like, no, government check. Okay.
Uh,
And so, yeah, she pays these hooligans to break in and fuck up the place so he'll get in trouble. But, okay, his whole thing is like, they have security cameras everywhere. They'll see that he had left for the day and they broke in after he was gone. He can't get in trouble for that. They broke into the place. He
yeah.
wasn't there. It's like, yeah, that sucks that I couldn't have been there to stop him, but who's he going to get in trouble with? It was not on his shift.
Yeah, that's like me going into a football stadium, ripping up the entire field, and going like, "Well, now that they can't play football, they can't win the big game. I guess you're gonna have to fire the whole team." It's
Yeah.
like, no, the team just doesn't play.
Doesn't play, yeah.
Yeah, that's the stupidest plan I've ever heard.
Yeah. Yeah, if it was a break into it while he's there, and if they said, like, oh, fuck him up, and then they decided to dress up like the animatronics to torture and scare him, I don't know, that's something. But to just break into his job when he's not even there to get him in trouble, it's a stupid plan. This lady is an idiot. Her
Yeah.
plans are awful.
Well, in her defense, I think the guy pitched the idea to her, and she was like, "All
Okay,
right, fine,
that's true.
you guys go do that." But she should have been the one to be like, "What the fuck are you talking about? This doesn't make sense."
Yeah.
Yeah, that plan was dumb, and it was just an excuse to get four people into
We got to get some
because
animatronic
they really
action.
don't kill
No.
anybody else in this movie.
The ant.
The ant.
And you don't even see it. It's just
Yeah.
some legs poking out from behind a chair.
And I wasn't even sure if she was dead or if there was like, oh, maybe she like just gets knocked out.
Yeah.
Uh,
But since it's killer animatronics, we could only assume.
and I want to. We'll get back to that.
We'll get back to that at
'Cause
the very end.
Yeah, I want to talk about that.
Let me make sure I write that down so we don't forget it, because it's another stupid fucking thing.
So, anywho, well, real quick, let's go back to the mall scenario. If you were a mall security guard and you saw a little boy looking around, like clearly I'm lost, and you're like, oh, this looks a little off, and then you saw a man come up and grab him by the arm and take him away, would you immediately go, that's a child molester / murderer, I need to beat him
the
to
shit
death?
out of him. Yeah.
Or would you go, hey, sir, can you prove that that's your son?
Yeah.
Or like, hey, kid, are you okay? Or whatever. Do any sort of due diligence. But you were like, and I mean, I get it from a character standpoint
Sure.
because his brother was taken.
Sure.
But
yeah. That's his knee-jerk reaction. Me, personally, I probably would have pulled my gun out and started shooting wildly from afar. But yeah, he just beats this dude up and gets fired. And I know you got to get him fired, but they can do the same thing of him grabbing the kid away and being like, you're not going to take another one. And the dad being upset, and the dad maybe throws a punch, and, but he just attacks him like a fucking psychopath.
Yeah. So that was certainly a choice. Yeah, and then it's like, why do I really care even about Josh Hutcherson in this movie?
Mm-hmm.
It's like he's not really a good caregiver. Doesn't seem like a cool guy.
Doesn't really give a shit about her all that much.
Like I'm sure he loves her. It's his sister or whatever.
Yeah.
but
he just seems to be so beat up from like, well, I lost my brother. Why do I give a shit about this other one?
They don't seem to have a great relationship. And then their teacher, his sister's teacher is like, well, she's all. Like, she draws to express herself.
Like
and all
every fucking kid in every fucking horror movie.
Yeah.
The kid is just an artist.
It's like, and the only thing she really draws is you. So you are her world and her everything. Like, she does care about you. I was like, all right, well, can we, like, see some of that?
Uh-huh.
And it isn't really until she becomes friends with animatronics where we're like, oh, our relationship is repairing? It's like, what was our relationship before?
Yeah.
And it's like, if he's been her caregiver for a while, then like has it just been terrible this whole time, or like we said, like has he only been taking care of her for a year?
Yeah, it's so confusing because if it was he's been taking care of her since she was a baby, it seems it'd be harder to maybe get her taken away from him because it's been for so long. So it has to have been a more recent thing. But they don't talk about their parents at all.
And yeah, so was he away, like he was estranged from his parents, and that's why he was never close with his sister?
And if that was the thing, like he's on a mission to find this killer, and he's been away. his parents die in an accident. He's forced to come back and take care of her. He doesn't know her because he's been gone for so many years. Okay, that's an interesting dynamic
Hmm.
of thinking, well, yeah, maybe he shouldn't have her, but, he wants to make up for lost time with all that he couldn't do with his brother that is gone, and now he could put that time into his sister, but he hasn't been given a chance yet. It just seems like such easy changes to a script
Hmm.
to make it more fleshed out and not completely dumb.
Yeah. And you could have had a thing where I couldn't save my brother, but I
But,
saved you,
mm-hmm.
and everything is okay now, or like saving you healed me in a way. But I don't remember. Was she ever like in danger in the finale? Really?
No, because all the little animatronics liked her.
Yeah.
Now, she was in danger because they wanted her to die and
And become the
become
yeah.
one, but so I guess, yes, but we don't really see it. We see him in danger with the animatronics and stuff, but
Yeah.
never her.
Because I don't even remember like what happened with her in the finale. Like I know she was in the building when things were going down.
She draws a picture to the gang to show that the true bad guy is the true bad guy and not a friend, and then they
Because she was
turn
just like
on.
essentially locked in the office or something, right? It doesn't fucking matter. Anyway, uh,
So let's talk about the second stupidest character. I don't know. It's probably a tie for all characters are pretty dumb in this, but the cop.
she was my least favorite
The
character.
cop that has absolutely nothing to do as a cop and just hangs out at the
Yeah, it
the
seems like
pizza place every night.
her beat that she talked about is just this
This
place.
place.
Yeah,
And if it was a scam, this is small town, nobody comes here, and she's pretending to be a cop to keep kids away, something. Or yeah, she's getting in trouble because she's a cop and she's doing a piss poor job at it because she is constantly patrolling this because she doesn't want anybody to get in and suffer, some horrible fate. That can make sense. Or she wiggled her way to get the proper beat so she does pass this place, all the time. But it just seems like she just does whatever. She's like a cop in name only. Even like stops by his house and like gives him a heads up on the crime that she's reporting. That's not generally what cops do.
no, I mean she did say that, but yeah, my problem with we're gonna have to like jump ahead here to my problem with this character is her whole existence
Mm-hmm.
doesn't particularly make sense. Uh, the big twist in the movie is she is the daughter of the owner of this establishment, and the owner of this establishment turns out to be the serial killer that has taken these children and put their bodies in the animatronics.
Mm-hmm. Because the
And
cops will never search there.
yeah, well, the cops searched the place from top to bottom, but
But why
couldn't.
would they search the
Why would
animatronics?
they search
I don't
that?
know. Maybe the rotting child corpses inside would give off a smell?
You would think.
Maybe.
Uh, but
They go,
the
that's
whole
just the pizza.
and maybe you caught this information and I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
So she grows up, doesn't like her father
Mm-hmm.
because of the monster that he was,
Yep.
and becomes a cop to, I assume, do good and not like be part of her father's work, but knows her father is still alive,
But doesn't do
but
anything.
doesn't do anything about it once
Yeah.
becoming a cop. And
Uh-huh.
my only theory is that like she doesn't turn her serial killer father in because if she did, then the ghost children would be at rest, or like because
Yeah,
like
like,
what?
if I can't kill my dad because if he's gone, there's no one to keep the gang. What did they have a name? I know they were like a band, but it was
Yeah,
just the Freddy Fazbear Five or something.
we'll just
Just call them the gang.
the gang. Yeah,
Yeah, like, oh well, he's the only one keeping them there. He's entertaining them enough. His whole plan of putting children's souls into robots backfired, and if he doesn't keep them at bay, give them sacrifices or whatever it is, they'll
but
break out.
but here's my thing about that though is it never explains how or why
Yeah.
it doesn't say if he's a necromancer or
Yep.
a cultist
Uh-uh.
or has some superpower. It just seems like he's a killer, and was it he once he killed the first one, he's like, well, I gotta hide the body somewhere, and he puts it into the animatronics, and then it just fucking Jack Frost, like they put the hat on, and it just comes to life instantly. He's like, oh hey, I wonder if I can do this again, and so
Uh-huh.
we did it a couple more times. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know why this,
Yeah.
like,
Was
why
it
does
his goal or was it
yeah,
happenstance?
like why does he have this power? And then when he's not around, the ghosts are like, oh well, we want to just be kids and friendly,
Mm-hmm.
so long as you don't try and like fuck up our house, then we'll kill you or whatever,
Yeah.
like the vagrant
Yeah.
kids did or whatever. Not the vagrant kid, but and so like when uh Mark and his sister or whatever show up and they're like, oh hey, let's all hang out and play and build forts. They're like, oh hey, we are children. This is what
Mm-hmm.
we do. But then the cop girl's just like, but he has some sort of power over them, so they'll do evil when he's around. But why?
Yeah.
That
Yep. It doesn't make any sense.
it makes zero sense.
It's so fucking stupid. Like, what is the serial killer's motivation? Does he like seeing? Does he put the children in the suits while they're alive, and they're wearing it like a mech suit, but they can't control it, and they slowly die from either wounds or hunger, thirst, something? Or does he kill them, put their bodies in there just to hide them, and the soul goes in? What does he do? Some serial killers want to dismember you and spread all your parts out everywhere. Some want to skin you alive. Like, they all have kind of like their thing. So
Yeah.
he puts them in the robots for why? It seemed almost like it was just to hide the bodies because no one's going to find them.
That's I think the logic that the movie puts out there. But it's like, okay, so he owns this Chuck E. Cheese-esque place. Is it? I assume because he's a freak who wants to kill kids, but he's apparently picking these kids up in the woods. Why isn't he abducting the children
Too obvious.
that are going to? I guess,
But then,
but like that should have been like, well, I made this establishment to like as like a scouting thing.
yeah.
Or is it like, oh, I got this place so no cops would suspect me?
But they
Because
say they searched the place.
yes,
But why would they even search there if the kids weren't being taken
yeah.
from the pizza place? They're being. I mean, maybe they are. Maybe they said that, but I just assume they're all taken from the woods or something.
I think it was just it was a big thing in this town in the '80s, and so
They searched everywhere.
they searched everywhere,
Even here.
But
Okay.
it's like cops don't just search everywhere.
Mhm.
There's laws and warrants and all that stuff. They're not going to go like, hey, there's been a bunch of kid murders. You mind if we just like tear up your restaurant? Oh yeah, sure, officer. You wouldn't do that. You'd be like, do you have a warrant? Is there any reason to expect? No, he could have been like trying to pass off as they'll never find him in the animatronic. So yeah, you can search my place all you want.
Yeah.
They don't really go
I'm
into
just
that.
a pillar of the community, of course.
The whole movie is just we're going to give you zero detail and hope you just don't worry about it because you're here for the scares. But
which are none.
there's no. I think this movie is a great
intro
if
horror.
this is your first horror movie, this is
Sure.
a great horror movie for you.
Mhm.
If you're 12 and you're like afraid to be scared,
If you're 12 and this is too childish. By the time you're getting 12, like, I'm almost a teenager. This is kiddie shit. This is for 7-year-olds.
But I mean, as a child, I didn't see a horror movie for a long, long time because I was a big old scaredy
You're a little
cat.
bit of a bitch, yeah.
Yeah, so but this is a good one. It does all the typical horror movie things of like how to do a jump scare. So it's a good intro to horror.
Sure.
But is it scary? No. And then but the content of this movie should be like, okay, it would be like a horror comedy, but it's not funny.
But it's not funny.
It's okay.
No.
So it's just a horror movie. But all right, so are we going to go gruesome? Well, no, we got to cover all our bases. So we got to
It's
be
gorier than I thought it would be. There was like someone like laying, and you could see a wound, and normally you would just see like a blood splot on the shirt, but there was like an open wound, and it seemed a little gorier. And that one girl gets bit in half.
That's the
It's
only
a
gory
shadow
scene, but it's
Yeah.
This movie isn't really gory.
No,
like
it's not.
the ending where the clamps are coming in, like that's kind of a cool death.
If you
but
saw anything.
But you also just kind of saw them go in. And it wasn't really that graphic in terms of some of the.
So
Not saying that I wanted to be, but like I think this movie could have been better as R. You really just lean into the horror element.
Sure.
Because
But they're afraid, like, no, this is a kid's game. Kids play this. Kids want to see it.
Yeah.
And it's like, sure, but if they were kids when it first came out, they're adults now. But it's not like the game ever went away. It is still appealing to children. So it makes sense for it to be PG-13. I want to talk about the suits. They were called Springlock, I think is what it was called. Springlock suits.
Sure.
And it was so you can power them down and someone could get inside and move around like the mascot, and then you can get out of it, hook it back up, and it'd be an animatronic.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, kind of an idea there. Like, I guess that's a functional thing, but it's like these like saw trap things where they have these huge things that clamp onto your chest. Freddy had like fucking buzz saws in the back of his face. What was that?
I thought that was just a contraption they built just for like murder, not
Okay,
actually.
is that the killer puts kids in it in the Freddy Fazbear suit and the buzz saws are what killed him? Or is this an after the fact? The kids invented these buzz saws.
My guess is the killer built this machine as kind of like a fun, like torture device because they use it on the security guard at the beginning of the movie,
Mm-hmm.
and then you just see him later, and his like mangled face is just in the pile of bodies.
Yeah.
So it just seems like this. It's not there to. It's just a creepy image. It's not there
Mm.
to function in any sort of special way other than here's a chainsaws coming at your face. I don't. I could be
Okay.
wrong,
Okay.
but that was my interpretation of it
But
because they didn't put the security guard in unless only children can take.
and that would make sense. Like, yeah, they're big, but trying to fit an entire human into an animatronic would be hard. So it makes sense that only kids could go in it, and having it be something that attaches to you. That's an idea. Oh, we hired a bunch of people to dress in these things, and then the animatronics fucked up and they killed a bunch of people because they crushed them, twisted them. It wasn't meant to do that. It was still a prototype, something. It's another one of those like, oh, that's an interesting idea, but then what do you do with it? Oh, well, we just wait until the bad guy puts his on. And if you've invented this, well, why are you making it so we can kill you? You think you would have the most safeguarded suit. Why does his even go off? Like he stabs his daughter, and then the gang
The gang start hitting him and they like break a piece of his
and
and
it
it just kind of sets
activates
it.
it.
Yeah, it
Okay.
just sets it off.
Yeah, you'd think you would, especially since his isn't. It's like a golden rabbit,
Hmm.
which they already have a blue rabbit. Pick a different animal. You got a bear, a rabbit, a fox, and a bird. You don't get another rabbit. Don't like make the blue rabbit a monkey or something. I don't. Anyhow,
I'm with you.
but it doesn't perform in the band. So why do you even need all those animatronic shit? Shouldn't it just be a costume for you if this is your ultimate suit? I don't get it unless it made him stronger. Like he's picking up
Well, I mean, he does
Hutchinson and
punch Josh Hutcherson. He does go
okay,
kind of like far, so I think it did give him extra strength.
but
Uh, but like
but to
that,
what end?
is he killing the kids in that suit, or is he killing them as a human? And this is just kind of like, in case of emergency, I need to fight the animatronics. Here's my
Yeah,
thing, or
or like they don't trust me because they know I kidnapped and killed them, so I have to dress up in this suit so I can play with them.
hmm. Yeah, because there is the picture of the yellow rabbit holding kids'
Mm-hmm.
hands.
Yeah,
Jesus fucking
yeah.
Christ. Which some of this would be fine if the
Mm-hmm.
movie did anything to explain it. Now
Mm-mm.
there is exposition dumps from the cop character, sure, but it's like the most minimalistic exposition dumps of just kind of, yeah, man, serial killers and ghost kids
Mm-hmm.
and deal with it.
No.
But like Josh Hutcherson's character is never seemingly so shocked that there's ghost
Yeah,
children.
he goes home and then comes back to work the next day
Yeah,
after he finds this out.
he needs the money so bad.
I would
Uh,
go like call the news and be like, "Do I got a story for you? I'll sell it for $10,000 if you need money so bad. Introduce the world to this."
yeah, and okay. So what else?
Let's just talk about the ant at the end.
Okay, yeah. So the animatronic creatures are like, hey, we need to get this girl because Josh Hutcherson will not let her go back
Mm-hmm.
to
Mm-hmm. And they want to put
Freddy's.
her in the golden bunny suit, right?
They just
Or
want to. I don't know if there was a specific suit. It might have been
oh,
that
okay.
little like
There was like a dead one on the floor that was like
it was like
disassembled.
a girl one. It was like it was human looking. It was like
Oh,
a
really?
yeah. I think there was two broken ones. There was I think an animal one which I don't remember, and there was one that kind of looked like a porcelain doll
Oh.
of a
Hmm.
young girl, which I think that was the one.
Oh,
That was the
okay.
one where they were like, "Hey, don't put your hand in there," and then it was like,
Oh, yeah.
whatever. Um,
Huh. And then one kid got to be a cupcake.
and
Everyone else is a bunch of animals and ain't got to be a cupcake.
um, because it took me a second. I didn't realize it took me a second to realize that the kids are wearing like the colors of
Yeah.
the creatures they're in. And
Hmm.
there's one kid in a top hat. I'm like, what the fuck is the top hat? Want to? Oh, it's the candle. You
Yeah.
fucking
Yeah.
idiot of the cupcake. Anyway, which I thought that was kind of funny actually.
Yeah.
Um, so
So
yeah, the
Freddy takes a cab.
Freddy takes a cab to go get the girl, but the aunt's home, and so I was like, well, we got to get rid of this stinking aunt because she's a problem in the story. So
Mm-hmm.
she dies off screen, and you don't see it. And then, so, like, me as the viewer is like, okay, we don't see the murder, we don't see any blood, we just see her laying on the ground. Maybe she's just knocked out.
Mm-hmm.
But then it gets to the end of the movie. Well, case is thrown out because she's fucking dead, but no one questions why her dead body shows up at the house.
Yeah.
Because it's not like Josh Hutcherson can explain his way out of this
Yeah.
one and be like, hey man, it was the ghost animatronics from Freddy's.
Uh-huh.
Because they'd be like, all right, well, you go into the fucking insane asylum.
I
And it's
think
like,
the only thing that would save him is if he knew they took a cab, or if the sister says, "Oh yeah, we took a cab," and he gets his testimony to be like, "Yeah, there was an animatronic bear in my back seat, so there is a possibility that a bear killed this thing." But still, I don't see you convincing any jury
no,
that
no,
he
no,
didn't
no.
do it. So
Well,
he had to have like buried that body in the backyard, right? After he drops the cop off at the hospital, him and his sister come back home and went, "Oh shit, there's the body." They had to have covered it
Or
up.
was it like because Freddy's has all these cameras, there's footage of me being at work when she
Yeah,
dies.
yeah,
So, but that would just implicate your sister as the murderer
yeah,
because the sister doesn't want to go with the aunt. So
yeah.
she fucking did it.
Mm-hmm.
But then it's like, does the cop use cop things to get them? Hey, they were
Yeah,
with me all night. I don't know
yeah,
who busted in the house. It really doesn't matter, but still, it's like, well, that's a loose end.
yeah.
Uh, oh God.
Let's talk about the suits. Yeah,
The one
the one
thing,
good
the one
thing,
good thing in this movie is the all the animatronic suits. They're pretty great.
they look exactly like anything I've seen, either a figure or the game or whatever. They look great representing those characters from the
Hmm.
game. I still don't like them though. I think they're ugly. I think they're stupid looking. I don't like any of them. Maybe the blue rabbit. Maybe he's the best one. Maybe, but they're not scary. They're goofy.
Hmm.
I'm not a fan. I was
Okay.
hoping this would be the thing that would win me over, but no.
I will say, and that's fine. You don't like how they look. I think my thing was, can you make these things look real and move realistically and feel like they are functioning animatronics in that way? And I think they do a good job.
Yeah,
And I think,
minimal CG, mostly
yeah,
practical.
and it goes to show that you can do this shit.
Mm-hmm.
And you can make a Ninja Turtles movies with this kind of shit again,
Oh
and
yeah,
it could function.
yeah, absolutely.
uh,
It worked back, in the original movie, so it could definitely work now.
well, yeah, but I'm saying like with how high def everything is, like part of the
Yeah,
Ninja Turtles movies where they
yeah,
were kind of grimy and
yeah.
everything was kind of cast in shadow.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're fucking ninjas, so they need to be in shadow. But I'm just saying, like everyone's so worried that everything looks so fake now.
Mm-hmm.
You can still do it
Yeah,
now. In that defense, like Freddy's they're supposed to be animatronics, where the Ninja Turtles are supposed to be real
real
living
things. Yeah.
things. So
So if
I
you have
get it.
the whirs and the shutters
But I'm
and
just
shit,
saying
it makes
it doesn't
sense.
look bad. Jim
Yeah.
Henson Company still killing it.
Oh yeah.
Um, the Let's talk about the big twist at the end that the serial killer was Matthew Lillard, the only
Ah,
other character in
in
this
the
movie
whole fucking
besides
movie.
the
Yeah.
three main characters.
Yeah. What a
So
what a shocker. The
yeah,
weird creepy guy at the beginning was the weird creepy guy at the end.
yeah, the weird creepy guy who the second you said your name was like, huh, well, I got a job for you.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, why did he
Hmm.
say that? Oh,
Yeah.
it's because he remembers that's the name of the
Yeah.
child that he murdered. Uh, I
I
guess.
guess. And is it random happenstance? Like, did this killer retire being a killer and get into this field? It just seems like, how did he place himself to do this to
Yeah.
Josh Hutcherson? Or is it just random happenstance?
And did he take this job because it's like, well, I can't kill any more kids because the cops would get to me. So maybe, so what I can do is I can get a job sending dudes to get murdered by my animatronics. But at a certain point, like if everyone you're sending over there is
Yeah.
getting murdered or disappears, people are going to start to question, like,
Yeah.
so how many security guards have you gone through? And
Mm-hmm.
the cop lady says, like, oh, all you guys don't last very long. So some quit because they're scared of the monsters. Are they
Mm-hmm.
all getting murdered? Are they all just going, well, this job sucks, and some of them leave, and some of them never see any horror monsters? Like, what is this
I
world?
don't know.
Uh, it's like, or could the cop, like the cops know that the animatronics come to life at night or whatever, or the police chief does, and so like, hey, look, I'm gonna put you on this beat because this is fucking ridiculous. No one's gonna
Hmm.
believe it, and we can't. Whatever movie logic you want to do, that could have been a thing, maybe. Like, but that also wouldn't make any sense. I'm just spitballing here. This movie frustrated
Yeah,
me.
and this isn't the
Thank
first.
God it was only like an hour and 40
Yeah,
minutes
and
long.
you didn't have to pay for it. You know, you had the Regal Pass. I watched it at
I
home.
mean, Ben, we paid for it, but we paid for
Yeah, we
everything
paid in a very
in
different way.
advance. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, so this isn't the only movie to have killer animatronics. There's been a couple of them. If you want a quick, short, simple one, it's on Hulu. It's called The Hug. It looks more like the Showbiz Pizza Bear than I mean it looks almost exactly like the Showbiz Pizza Bear, and it's just
What
a
the hell is the Showbiz Pizza Bear?
Showbiz Pizza came before Chuck E. Cheese and
Mm-hmm.
then was bought by Chuck E. Cheese and then kind of
Oh.
gotten rid of. If you look up Billy Bob the Bear, Billy Bob is the Showbiz Pizza Bear.
Did you ever go to a Showbiz Pizza?
No, it was a Midwest thing, and by the time I lived in the Midwest, Showbiz wasn't
It
around
was just Chuck
anymore.
E.
I was a
Cheese.
Chuck E. Cheese kid.
Does Chuck E. Cheese still exist?
I believe so.
Just
Poorly.
just poorly
Yeah.
exists.
Um, so yeah, The Hug, highly recommend. It's the best one out of all these. And it's short, sweet, 5 minutes, and it's all you really can do without going into much of a backstory. But there's two major ones that came out before this that were trying to capitalize on the fame of Five Nights at Freddy's. The first one to come out was Willy's Wonderland, a
Hmm.
movie I could only assume was sold to Nicolas Cage as like, you get to look like a fucking badass, you get to kill a bunch of animatronic monster things, and you don't have to say a single line of dialogue except for like ah or
He doesn't speak in
he
this
doesn't
movie?
speak at all.
Wow.
I think he's supposed to be like the man with no name walking into town, and then
Mm.
it's just like too fucking badass, and you can't stop him. Now, some of the things that we have disliked about Five Nights at Freddy's are addressed in Willy's Wonderland, but it's still a really bad movie. It's a very repetitive, stupid movie. But at least they, I feel, put more effort into the story. So, years ago, there's a crazy psycho killer who owns a pizza shop.
Of
It's
course.
called Willy's Wonderland. And he uses it to like kill people. Like it's a good feeding ground and you get to kill children. And then other crazy psychopaths join him and they all kind of use this as like a meeting ground of like crazy murderous sex perverts. And the cops get wise to them and they go out in a blaze of glory, or more so like they kill themselves in a satanic ritual that puts their souls into the Willy's Wonderland puppets. And there's
Hmm.
like nine of them. There's a bunch in this movie. And so as years go on, the townspeople thought it was done, but the puppets started leaving and murdering townsfolk. And so they cut a deal and they said, Willy, he's a weasel, like, Willy, if you stay contained in this pizzeria, we'll feed you people. Just don't kill any of the townspeople. So it's a little town off the map. Like they don't even have Wi-Fi there. They set up a trap so people their cars break down. Nicholas Cage, his tires get popped, and the mechanic is like, "Well, I can give you four new tires and everything, but you have to pay in cash." Oh, you don't have cash? Well, do I got an opportunity for you? If you spend the night at Willy's Wonderland and just clean up, then we'll give you your tires for free. The townspeople didn't expect Nicolas Cage, the super ultra badass that is not phased by any of this. They just kind of he cleans, one
Hmm.
pops up, he murders them violently, and it's like blood and guts everywhere, but it's all black. I think it's supposed to be the oil of the machines. They're not very big animatronics.
Hmm.
They kind of just look like puppets. You know, like you shoot it waist up, and someone's hand is just there.
Got it.
It's like a
Okay.
flamingo or
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
something. And they have a variety of them. Not all of them are animals. There's one called like Nighty Night, and he's just a knight. And there's like a Tinkerbell fairy one who is just a woman's body with like a fake head, but she's moving like a robot. I'm like, that's skin though. That's you're not an animatronic.
That's a person.
You're a human being. And so he kills one, and then his alarm goes off. He takes a break every like 45 minutes or something, goes into the kitchen, drinks one of his energy drinks, plays pinball, a Willy's Wonderland pinball game in the kitchen, goes back out to clean again, kills another, goes on break, has a drink, plays pinball, goes and cleans again, kills another, just over and over and over again. So it's very boring, very repetitive. The set is microscopically small. And then you have some local teens who they want to burn it down because they know the atrocities that the townspeople do. But she has like trouble lighting it on fire. I don't know how hard lighting gasoline on fire is, but she can't seem to do it. And then they break in, and it's the dumb, typical horror stuff of two people go like, "Oh, let's go sneak off and fuck in this room," and they're even like, "This is where the sacrifice happened. Oh yeah, this is where all the murders happened. Let's do it. Wait, there's one of those crazy mascots in the corner. Is it alive and looking at us?" Like, well, let's give it a show. And then they die. Like, you know the rules here. You know there's killer animatronics in here. That's why you're here to burn it down because the townspeople are just feeding it. They're all morons, and everybody dies. And then the girl leaves with Nick Cage in the morning, and like the sheriff, and not the sheriff. Is it the sheriff? Well, the guy who owns the building and the auto body guy, they're there, waiting to see if Nicolas Cage has survived. He has. They go, wow, that guy's a badass. Hey, this is great. He stopped all the things. We don't have to keep doing this anymore. But one of them like lights their car on fire and they all blow up. Whatever. But Nicolas Cage and the girl who survives drive off in the sunset, and that's about it.
Now, Nicolas Cage, I assume, just kills them with like guns or
No, his hands. Like he does, like he fights a big gorilla in the bathroom, and he put like its head is in the urinal, so he like stomps on the back of his head.
Right.
And then other ones he just like rips their spine out, but it's just like a mechanical piece.
So physical violence can defeat these creatures.
Yes.
So this small town couldn't. The small town, I assume, has shotguns. Couldn't band together and just
I would assume so. Yeah.
shoot the things to death.
Maybe they never thought of it, or they thought it wouldn't work.
Okay.
Yeah. Or is there something important or special about Nicolas Cage? Is it the energy drinks he's drinking all the time that makes him unstoppable?
Oh.
I don't know. They don't explain anything like that. So it's better because at least there's somewhat of a story, a little bit better backstory that makes a bit more sense. But it's so cheap and ugly looking. It's just not a very good movie. But I liked it more than a lot of reviews I saw. People were really trashing it as one of the worst of all time. And it's definitely watchable, especially if you have friends over and you could just talk through the boring shit. Because there are extended montages of him cleaning up stuff. It's like slow camera pans across the room as he's quickly scrubbing all the tables and the toilets and stuff. It gets a bit old. But if you have a bunch of people sitting around, you may find some enjoyment of going like, yeah, kill him. Yeah. So not very good. That's also on Hulu if you're interested.
Well, I'm glad I didn't watch it then.
Well, I wanted you to just so we could have a little more of a discussion and get
I'm sorry
into more,
about that.
but it's fine. But then there's one more
Oh, there's one more animatronic.
animatronic
Okay.
movie. It's called The Banana Splits.
Hmm.
This is the best out of all of them.
Okay.
It's not great, but of all of them, it's the best. So if you don't know, the Banana Splits were a real show on TV in the like 60s, 70s, and it's just like a dog and an elephant and a gorilla and I don't know, a horse. I can't remember, but they were just like guys and mascots, and they like do funny little things and introduce cartoons. It was just like a Pee Wee's Playhouse almost, but with these things.
Okay.
And apparently there was a Five Nights at Freddy's script that was submitted. It got rejected, and then they said, well, we own the Banana Splits and no one's doing anything with this property. Let's just turn it into a horror comedy. So they took a rejected Five Nights at Freddy's script with this IP and made their own thing. So the Banana Splits are in the movie. They're filming their last show. So there's this like line of guests who all want a chance to watch it, and they do fun little double dare stunts and silly things like that. And they are animatronics. They definitely look just like people in costumes who are trying to walk like robots, and it's not very great.
Sure.
But something in their They're
Programming.
Thank you. Something in their programming goes wrong and they just start killing everyone in kind of weird, horrific, very bloody, very violent ways. And it's just a bit more fun. And you actually have like interesting characters that make sense and have kind of like good setup and payoff for things that they've done and then how they get killed. This is not available for streaming. You may have to buy physical. Good luck with that. But it's definitely better than if you could take all three of these movies and really mash them together, I bet that there's something there.
Mm.
But I don't know. Maybe just the killer animatronic thing is a miss. It's because, like, I think I could beat up a Chuck E. Cheese, even if it came to life. Most of it is just the padding. They don't have that complex of robotics. I could probably take one out at the knees and snap its neck.
Well, let me go back to
Okay,
Five
yeah.
Nights at Freddy's real quick. So that reminded me of one thing. So I assume this was a game mechanic where at the near the end of the movie when they have to like fight off the animatronics, they have like a horse,
Oh, a cattle
a
prod sort
cattle
of thing.
prod, yeah, thank you, and and a taser, and
Mm-hmm.
that's able to it won't kill them, but it'll mess up their
Yeah.
animatronics for a little bit. But it
Mm-hmm.
seemed like once they did it, they never came back until it was time to like curb stomp
Yeah.
the final bad guy. But that was the only part of the movie where I was like, all right, this is straight from the video game. This has to be. And I don't know. Do you know if these
So
are?
you don't know anything about the game, or at
Mm,
least like there's a lot of games, and maybe some of them do stuff like that. But I'm pretty sure the first game you're just in a room watching the monitors, and you see them moving around, and you have to figure out on a map of like what door to close, where to block them off, and you only have like X amount of power before you lose all of it, and then they can get you. And it's more of a puzzle thing of like keeping them at bay until the sun rises. You
I'll say
don't you
that could have
don't
been
go
fun.
around with like a shotgun and picking up herbs and stuff and finding the key to unlock
Oh,
the
I assumed it was kind of you walk around the
survival horror
survival
style.
horror. Yeah,
And they
like
may
the only
have,
way to like I said, like you won't be able to kill them, but you can slow them down so
yeah.
you're able to run
And
away.
maybe, I don't know. It's like we're not the best people to be judging this on is it a good Five Nights at Freddy's movie,
Yeah.
but I think we're at least competent enough to say is this just a good movie,
Hmm.
which it's not.
Which is not. Um, and the last thing I want to talk about. So a good 25% of this movie is just dream
Oh
sequences
my
that we
god, he
never talked
sleeps
about.
so much.
He sleeps a ton of this movie, and it's all to like attempt to get more like backstory
Mhm.
because he, like we said earlier, he's trying to find more details. Seemingly for the past 20 years, he's been trying to find more details about his brother's murder, but is coming up short. And then he sees the ghost children in this, and ghost children are always like kind of creepy because they're standing there and then they run
Mhm.
off. But then he like just straight up talks to them
Yeah, and then makes a deal.
and makes a deal to like give up his sister. I was like, oh, that's kind of like
Yeah.
that's pretty dark.
Mhm.
But you don't do anything. The movie tried to give it like an emotional moment where he's talking to his parents and all that, but like that didn't really work all that well. And I just think like if you're gonna be constantly in dream sequences, you got to do something new or scary or different with them. But it's just he was always in the same woods, and he's just having conversation with people. Essentially,
Yeah.
it's never anything interesting.
Yeah, he's getting further and further in the dream, but not necessarily remembering things that
Yeah,
actually happened. He's able to experience talking to these dead children more than actually catching up to the car. Yeah,
yeah,
I thought he would get a little closer and see the license plate number, or that he'd get a little closer and he's almost at the driver's door to see a face, and then he has to do it again, but it's just him
yeah.
chasing
Like
after ghost
tease
kids.
us with the killer
Yeah.
because it's just thrown in at the end.
And
Uh,
he catches up and it turns and it's fucking Freddy Fazbear and he wakes up going like, okay, well I know that didn't happen, but
yeah,
why?
because yeah, it's he's not enhancing his dream through dream theory
Mm-mm.
or the pills or whatever. It's just the ghost children coming into his dream and just kind of fucking with him,
Yeah.
and I
Okay.
guess slowly giving him the
Yeah.
answers, but like
That's a
they could just
ghost.
straight up be like, "Hey man, it's this guy. He works
Mm-hmm.
at this place, whatever."
But
And
they also remember they didn't remember. Well, they knew they were killed, but they didn't remember who the killer was. Because they talk about like they forgot, and that's why she has to draw the picture to make them remember that he's the bad guy.
oh, okay,
Yeah, who cares? This movie
yeah,
fucking sucks. It's definitely unless there's a lot more shit coming out the rest of the year. This is going on my worst of the year list for
yeah.
sure.
I have a feeling this will be my like the only two compliments I can get. Well, I'll give it three compliments. The animatronics look good. It's short, and I was never bored. I would say I was almost even moderately entertained,
Okay.
but I recognize that every aspect of this movie is bad.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
I guess I wasn't bored. Mainly disinterested.
yeah, I feel like it functioned as a film,
Mm-hmm.
but was it successful in its execution as a film? No.
No.
Uh, and uh, not that he's great, but I think Josh Hutcherson tried in this movie.
Yeah.
I would never. I don't discredit his performance. I
No.
discredit everyone else's performance in
Yeah,
this movie.
especially the cop and Matthew Lillard.
Yeah.
Bad. Real
Uh,
bad.
but I think he was good enough in this.
Why didn't Matthew Lillard kill his own daughter? Is it
That was the other
something
thing.
like oh, I love killing kids, but maybe that's why he stopped because he had a daughter, but she wasn't so much younger than like Hutcherson, so I don't. And if she was born at that same time, he was still stealing kids when he
Because
had her.
she was holding the orange airplane that he had,
Sure,
which
yeah.
I don't think was like here's something that she's had since she was a baby or
Hmm.
whatever. Uh,
Yeah, I don't know.
yeah, because was Josh Hutcherson supposed to be like 23 in this, or was he supposed to be 30?
30, yeah.
And because his sister was 12,
Maybe.
maybe.
And did you know this took place in like 2003 or something? Did you have any
What?
idea? Yeah, it's not modern day. It takes place in the early 2000s. I guess
Well, I guess if they're killing in the 80s, that makes sense.
yeah. And like the only real clue would be like cell phones that they
Right, right,
have,
right,
you
right,
know.
right, right. Okay, yeah, yeah.
So,
All right.
yeah. I guess let's move it on to the end of the show. Let's wrap it up. What are we doing next week? Oh, I mean, you probably don't care, but it's the Marvels.
Oh
It comes
yeah,
out on a Wednesday, so I
yeah,
think
yeah.
there is something on the Friday as well. Steve, this is your job. What else is coming out? I did half of it. There's Marvels. There's got to be another one.
Let's just see the Taylor Swift Eras Tour movie, man.
Fuck
Come
no.
on.
Like I don't dislike Taylor Swift. I have
Uh,
nothing against her. I don't love any of her songs really, but like I do not want to see that. Should have been Dune too. Oh, is it song Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes the week
uh,
after?
hang on,
You're
I'm right.
so slow.
I'm right
You're
here.
so slow.
All right, Fandango. This Friday is Journey to Bethlehem, The Marvels, and that's all it has
Really?
for our theater. So they haven't put up their times yet.
I
But
guess
we
I
know
will
the big
see.
movies, The Marvels. Uh, I mean, I haven't missed a Marvel movie yet. It's just the
Yeah.
Marvel shows that
Yeah.
I've
And did you give to any shits about that original Miss Marvel or Captain Marvel?
the the first Brie Larson movie. Sorry,
Yeah. Did you give a shit about that one at all, or was that one of the Marvel movies that you said, "Oh, this sucks. This is one of the bad ones."
I've I've only seen it once, and from what I remember, when I left the theater, I was like, that was fine. I didn't hate it as much as everyone else did.
Okay.
Everyone else was just like, this is the worst Marvel thing they've ever put out until the Eternals came out, which
Mm,
I thoroughly disagree with.
yeah. Yeah.
But everyone's like, yeah, um, Captain Marvel's trash.
Hmm.
I remember not thinking it was trash,
No.
but
Yeah. It's not trash, but I think it was a little underwhelming.
um,
But this one is
I
supposed to be like 90 minutes. It's tight. It's fast. It's got a lot of shit going on. It doesn't slow down.
I
I'm
mean, I've
hearing
seen this
good
trailer a bunch
things.
of times, and once again, I think Marvel makes good trailers.
Hmm.
But after watching a pretty good Ant-Man and the Quantumania trailer, and then seeing that movie,
Yeah.
it's like, oh, well, then I've lost all
Yeah.
faith.
And did you
Uh,
hear Disney thought they had a hit with Ant-Man 3? They thought people were going to really like it and they were taken aback by the backlash. They're like, "Oh, I thought this was a huge hit." And I think that's why they were really amped for
there's good stuff
Kang.
in it, but there's a lot of
But
bad stuff in
all
it.
in all,
Uh, I,
okay, not to cut you off, sorry.
no,
Like we have the Marvels, but the week after, it's like crowded as fuck. Move some of this stuff up to this week when we had this week was Priscilla. I know it was supposed to be Dune too, but come on. So there's Dream Scenario, which is a Nicolas Cage movie about people seeing him in their dreams. Have you seen the trailer for that?
I know of its existence. I didn't watch the
Okay.
trailer.
It looks like a lot of fun. I'd say don't watch the trailer. I would say go into this one blind if you decide to see it.
Okay.
There's Thanksgiving, the Eli Roth
Oh my
horror
god.
Thanksgiving
I don't
movie.
care.
I know you don't. There's Next Goal Wins, which I've heard nothing but bad things. Like early reviews are, it's terrible.
What's that one again?
It's the Taika Waititi soccer one in New Zealand with Michael Fassbender.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah. Hunger Games, Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, and Trolls Band Together.
Jesus Christ, what a
Yeah.
terrible week. Uh, all right. I mean,
I'll see Thanksgiving and Hunger Games. You don't have to see. I think
is
you
it
should.
Thanksgiving or Thanksgiving?
It's Thanksgiving. It's just
Okay.
Thanksgiving.
Uh, I think my wife wanted to see Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, so
Okay.
I'll see that one. I mean,
Okay.
we talked about it last week. You know, we're fans of the Hunger Games
Mm-hmm.
movies, and I like the books, so I'll watch. Even though I didn't read this book, I'll watch the
Yeah.
movie. And maybe I'll see the Nicolas Cage thing if I have time.
Yeah. I mean, who knows? It may not even come to our area. That's like the
Oh, okay.
more independent thing out of everything else. I'm definitely not seeing Trolls.
I I think
I
I'll.
would watch Next Goal Wins, but it just depends on, do I want to leave my house? Do I want to put on pants to go
I've
see
liked
this?
Taika Waititi's other movies outside of Thor.
Yeah, but like I said, he's on thin ice with me. Yeah. He made Thor
You tell
4.
him, Ben.
Uh,
Uh, But yeah, I'll see the Marvels for this podcast
okay, cool.
because I don't know if I care about any other Marvel stuff, especially like I've been seeing all the news about. I hate that we always have to talk about the fucking Marvel universe. It's like there's rumblings of Marvel wanting to bring back the
Oh
original cast.
yeah.
Like, fuck
No,
them. No,
no.
don't bring back any of them.
And
If
we
you want to
played.
bring back Chris Hemsworth, that's fine because he's still kicking around to
Sure.
do more.
Yeah.
That's great. But Captain America, perfect send off. Iron Man, perfect send off.
Black
Black
Widow
Widow, you killed
dead.
her.
Yeah. So
You
there's
gave her a movie, it didn't do well. It's like they're gone.
yeah, it's a
Renner
real
can do
shame.
Hawkeye season 2 or something, but fuck them.
And
I
I
don't
mentioned
care.
it before that like Nando did a good, maybe I just told you in person, but Nando V Movies did a great uh one a small change to the Secret Invasion show, and seeing that and where it would have set us up now, it's like, oh man, I really wish they would have done this early, because Phase 4 just seems like wheel spinning in a lot of
Hmm.
ways. Like, we still don't know what's up with Shang-Chi's 10 Rings. Remember, they had like some secret vibration, some aura at the end, and like, we don't know what this is. What's that all about?
Yeah, I thought that had to do with the Eternals. Like it was a
Never mentioned as something with the Eternals. No. What about Blade? That seems like it's never going to happen. Mahershala Ali's about to walk the fuck off this. Uh,
probably should.
yeah, if I was him at this point, maybe do it, because one of their latest scripts was it was going to be a female led Blade movie, but
Hmm.
she's not Blade. Blade was like kind of regulated to like fourth lead, because there would be like a
The Night
trio.
Stalkers.
They'd be like a trio of women, and it's about them, and Blade is also there. Like, that's not a Blade movie. That's fine if you want to do something like that, but don't call it Blade if Blade is not your lead. So I'm thinking he's gonna walk, and they're gonna cast some young person who's willing to do whatever so they could get that Disney money.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest on their shows, but maybe Blade would be a good one to make a show of,
Hmm.
and it's
I
just
mean, they already
his.
tried back in the day. There was one on Spike with,
Oh yeah,
what was that rapper?
I
I think it
I know
was.
exact. I can see his
Yeah.
face. I
Uh huh.
can't remember his name,
They
but I
I
know
just
exact. Yeah, 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 yeah.
they
I
were
totally forgot about that.
selling, Blade trilogy and then the Blade season 1 TV show and like a 4-pack, because I don't think it went
Wow.
past a season 1.
Well,
But yeah, it's that's one of the good ones to do as a show, because you can just have your monster of the week.
yeah.
Oh, now I'm fighting a vampire in a sewer, and now I'm fighting a wolf man.
Hmm.
Yeah. So we'll see.
Fart noise.
If Loki ends pretty well, and I go like, dude, this is going to be important,
I
will you?
I I said before Loki was the one Disney Plus show that I was like, oh, you know what? I liked Loki season 1. I would watch Loki season 2. But now just after being burned so many times and
Yeah.
and the things even I haven't watched where they're like, no, it's not really good. It's like, you know what? Fuck it. I don't even if Loki's good, I don't know if I care.
Yeah, I don't blame you, but this does definitely. You could watch season 1, season 2, and not any other Marvel shit going out, and it would make sense. It does, at least for right now. Got one episode left, I think. It stands alone.
Hmm.
Okay. Anything else? You know,
No, this
you gotta.
episode bummed me out. It's just not a good movie, and we talked about
No, but
Marvel
these are
Universe again.
my favorite episodes because we actually both saw a thing, we both hated the thing, so we could just dig our claws in, and it's not you telling me I'm a moron for not liking a thing or me saying you're too stupid to understand this thing that you didn't like. We're both on the same page. This is my favorite stuff. Well, if you want to get in contact with us, we are at WRPL podcast at gmail.com on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Tell us, what shit did we get wrong about Five Nights at Freddy's? Because I'm sure.
Nothing. I don't think we got anything wrong.
No, I mean, like, the lore, the video games, what did you go? Well, actually, if you would have played the third game in the series, you would know, because I guess the movie is kind of based off the third game more story wise, but I don't give a shit. I really, really don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, take your FNAF bullshit, and I'm happy for you. I'm glad that your adaptation is something you like. I think they're a little delusional. I think this high audience score is just fans
Yeah.
sucking themselves off because I could be what's the word? I could take a step out and go, okay, yes, I'm obsessed with Ghostbusters, but I can see that Ghostbusters
Hmm.
2 isn't all that great. I'm not going to say, well, nope, every piece of Ghostbusters media is the best thing ever. Uh, you know, what is the word? I can't think of. I can be. Anywho, I'm too dumb. So it's too late.
Whatever. Yeah.
So I'm happy for them, but, the thing you like sucks. So I'm sad for you that you think this is a
This is.
good thing. All right, yeah, I said the shit. All right, so as always, I'm Ben,
And I'm Steve.
and keep consuming.